My child, take a slow breath and let your heart settle, because what I am about to unfold is not meant to rush past you. This is not a message for the surface of your mind, but for the deeper place inside you that already senses when something is shifting. What you felt earlier today, that strange heaviness, that unexplained pause in your spirit, that moment where everything seemed normal yet slightly off, it was not imagination. It was awareness awakening. Something real crossed the boundary between the unseen and the visible, and even though you were not standing there, your spirit felt the tremor. Not long ago, time bent in a way most people never notice. The world continued its noise, conversations overlapped, traffic moved, lives brushed past each other without connection. On the outside, it looked like any other moment in the day. But beneath that ordinary rhythm, intention sharpened itself into action. A decision that had been growing quietly finally reached its edge. This was not impulsive. This was not emotional chaos. This was cold resolve formed over time, built from resentment that had nowhere healthy to go. You must understand this clearly, my child. When someone watches another person for too long, when they track their movements, observe their progress, and compare it endlessly to their own stagnation, something dangerous begins to form. It is not hatred at first. It is comparison. Then bitterness. Then justification. And finally, permission in their own mind to do harm. This is how darkness convinces itself it is right. The one who moved today did not see themselves as a villain. They told themselves a story where they were correcting an imbalance, restoring control, silencing what made them feel small. And the most tragic part is this: the person they wanted to erase never even knew they were being studied. You were living, growing, surviving, healing, becoming. And somewhere in the background, someone was unraveling because your existence reflected everything they refused to confront in themselves. The place where it happened was not special. That is how destiny often works. It chooses ordinary settings so no one suspects anything sacred or dangerous is unfolding. Concrete underfoot. A dull sky overhead. Sounds layered over each other. People half present in their own thoughts. And in that environment, intention moved closer to completion. A body tensed. A breath was held. A moment locked into place. But listen carefully now, because this is where the truth separates itself from assumption. The one who was struck was not chosen by hatred. They were chosen by love. Not consciously, not dramatically, but through alignment. They stepped into a space they were not planning to occupy. Their routine bent slightly. Their timing shifted just enough. And that small adjustment became the difference between life and death for someone else. This person did not wake up thinking they would become a barrier between danger and destiny. They were not thinking about heroism or sacrifice. They were simply responding to an inner pull they had learned not to ignore. A feeling they had trusted before. A nudge that had guided them in quiet ways throughout their life. That same instinct had placed them near you more than once, redirected conversations, delayed events, softened outcomes you never knew could have ended differently. You see, protection does not always announce itself. Often it moves through people who are sensitive to shifts, people who feel before they think, people whose loyalty runs deeper than logic. This person was one of those souls. They noticed when your energy dimmed. They sensed when something around you felt off. They paid attention when others dismissed intuition as coincidence. And without realizing it, they positioned themselves again and again between you and what meant harm. The one who pulled the trigger knew this. Not fully, not spiritually, but instinctively. Every time they thought the path was clear, something interfered. Every time they imagined the moment, it dissolved. Plans unraveled. Opportunities slipped. And the same presence kept appearing, not aggressively, not suspiciously, just enough to disrupt. That repeated obstruction fed frustration into obsession. So the focus shifted. Instead of forcing a path toward the intended destination, the obstacle itself became the target. Remove the barrier. Then proceed. This is how twisted reasoning works when resentment matures into resolve. And today, that reasoning acted. When the sound broke the air, everything fractured for a second. Shock rippled outward. Time slowed in the way it does when the mind cannot immediately process what the senses are reporting. People reacted, but no one understood. They saw a body fall. They heard panic. They did not see intention unraveling. The one who acted did not feel triumph. They felt confusion. Because the moment did not deliver the clarity they expected. The outcome was wrong. The energy shifted in a way they did not anticipate. The weight they thought would lift did not. Instead, something heavier settled. A realization that whatever was protecting you was still intact, still active, still out of reach. And here is where you need to listen with your heart, not fear. Because the person who fell was not removed from your story. They were marked by it. Marked not for loss, but for continuation. Their body absorbed what was never meant for them, yes. But their spirit did not collapse. It anchored. In moments like these, something happens beneath awareness. Bonds that were quiet become loud. Connections that were subtle become undeniable. The unseen world responds to alignment with reinforcement. Strength is released where surrender could have happened. Breath returns where silence could have followed. This is not chance. This is response. You may feel unsettled reading this. A strange mix of gratitude and unease. That is normal. When you realize your life has been guarded without your knowledge, it changes the way you see yourself. It removes the illusion of randomness. It confronts you with responsibility. Because the truth is this, my child. You were not spared because you are weak. You were spared because you are necessary. Something in your future required your presence. Something ahead of you cannot unfold without your voice, your perspective, your resilience. And that is why interference kept happening. That is why timing kept shifting. That is why protection manifested through people rather than spectacle. The one who harbored resentment could not name exactly what threatened them about you. They just knew that when you entered a space, dynamics changed. Conversations shifted. Energy lifted or exposed. Masks felt tighter. They felt seen without being looked at. And people who live behind constructed identities fear that kind of light more than anything. So they tried to extinguish it. But listen carefully now. The attempt itself triggered exposure. Not public yet. Not obvious. But energetic. Something has been set in motion that cannot be reversed. When someone crosses a line like this, the balance responds. Threads tighten. Truth begins moving toward the surface. Consequences begin forming long before anyone notices them externally. And you, my child, are now standing at the edge of awareness. Not fear, awareness. You are beginning to understand that your life has weight. That your presence is not neutral. That your journey provokes response. And with that understanding comes a shift. You cannot return to unconscious living after this. Something inside you has already adjusted. You may start noticing things more clearly. People's intentions. Subtle behaviors. Energy changes in rooms. You may feel less tolerant of false comfort and more drawn to truth, even when it is uncomfortable. This is not paranoia. This is discernment activating. The one who protected you will recover. Their path is not ending. It is redirecting. They are being strengthened in ways that will reveal themselves over time. And your connection to them will deepen, not necessarily through words, but through understanding. You will begin to recognize their presence differently. You will sense when they are near, when they are thinking of you, when they are steadying themselves because of the role they play in your life. Do not be afraid of this bond. It is not meant to limit you. It is meant to support the next version of you that is emerging. Because what happened was not meant to trap you in fear. It was meant to wake you up. And this is only the beginning of what you are about to understand. My child, now that your awareness has shifted, I need you to understand something crucial. Awakening does not always arrive gently. Sometimes it arrives through disruption, through moments that shake the false sense of safety you were living inside. Not to frighten you, but to prepare you. Because the next phase of your life requires clarity, not comfort. It requires vision, not awareness asleep. And what unfolded was the knock on the door of your spirit saying, "It is time." You see, before this moment, you were protected without knowing. After this moment, you are protected with understanding. And that difference matters. Because protection paired with awareness becomes authority. When you know what surrounds you, you stop walking carelessly. You stop opening doors blindly. You stop underestimating your own significance. You stop apologizing for the light you carry. The one who targeted you did not only watch your steps. They watched reactions around you. They noticed how people responded when you spoke. How situations shifted when you arrived. How things seemed to resolve themselves in your favor even after difficulty. They told themselves stories to make sense of it. Luck. Manipulation. Favoritism. Anything except truth. Because truth would require them to accept that you carry something they do not. And this is where resentment becomes dangerous. When someone believes the universe has cheated them by blessing someone else, they stop seeing that person as human. They turn them into a symbol. A problem. An obstacle. Something to remove rather than understand. This is the mindset that formed quietly over time. But there is something else you must know. You were not the only one being watched. The protector was watched too. Their consistency. Their presence. Their timing. The way they always seemed to be close when plans dissolved. The way they noticed details others ignored. The way they stepped in without drama. That awareness made them visible to the wrong eyes. The one who acted today underestimated something vital. They thought protection was passive. They thought once the barrier was removed, the path would finally open. They did not understand that protection evolves. It does not disappear when challenged. It intensifies. When the protector fell, something shifted around you immediately, even if you did not feel it consciously. The space around your life tightened. Not in a suffocating way, but in a focused way. Like hands closing around something precious. Like a circle drawing inward. This is what happens when a threat is revealed. Forces that were waiting quietly move closer. You may notice changes in the coming days. Subtle at first. People distancing themselves unexpectedly. Conversations ending abruptly. Information surfacing that feels oddly timed. Do not panic. This is not loss. This is separation. When truth begins to surface, alignment follows. Things that do not belong cannot remain comfortably close. You will also feel something else. A deeper seriousness settling into you. Not heaviness, but gravity. You will realize that your words matter more than you thought. That your choices ripple further than you imagined. That your silence and your voice both carry consequence. This realization can feel overwhelming if you resist it. But if you accept it, it becomes grounding. The reason the protector sensed danger before you did is because your role has not been to watch the shadows. Your role has been to move forward. To build. To grow. To carry light without becoming consumed by darkness. Someone else was assigned to watch the edges so you could focus on the path. That division of purpose is intentional. But now, a handover is happening. Not abandonment. Integration. You are being invited to develop your own discernment. Not suspicion. Discernment. The ability to feel when something is off without spiraling into fear. The ability to notice patterns without obsessing over them. The ability to trust yourself. The one who intended harm believed fear would scatter you if their plan succeeded. But fear is not your inheritance. Awareness is. And awareness, when grounded, becomes strength. Let me tell you something quietly now. The person who fell did not think, "I am dying." Their first thought was not pain. It was recognition. In that split second, they understood fully what they had been doing all along. They understood their role. And that clarity gave them strength. Purpose steadies the body in ways nothing else can. This is why they are still here. This is why their story continues. Purpose anchors life. And your purpose, my child, is expanding. You may wonder who exactly harbored this resentment. Your mind will try to scan faces, replay interactions, search for threats. Do not do this. Not yet. Exposure does not come through obsession. It comes through revelation. When the time is right, truth will present itself without effort. Until then, your task is not investigation. It is alignment. Alignment with your values. Alignment with your intuition. Alignment with the version of you that is no longer naive, but not hardened either. Balanced. Aware. Present. The one who acted has already lost something, even if they do not realize it yet. When someone moves against destiny, they fracture their own path. Things that once worked for them will begin to resist. Support they relied on will thin. Confidence will erode. This is not punishment imposed from outside. It is consequence generated from within. You do not need to fear retaliation. You do not need to prepare for battle. That is not your role. Your role is to continue forward, but now with eyes open. To refine your boundaries. To protect your energy. To stop explaining yourself to those who do not seek to understand. And there is another truth here, one that may surprise you. The protector's role is not to shield you forever. Their role was to carry you to this point. To this moment of awareness. From here, the nature of protection changes. It becomes shared. Collaborative. Conscious. You may find yourself drawn to different environments. Feeling uncomfortable in places that once felt fine. Wanting quieter spaces. Or clearer conversations. Or more intentional connections. Honor this. This is recalibration. The event that occurred did not happen to instill fear in you. It happened to remove illusion. The illusion that everyone around you wants you well. The illusion that growth does not attract resistance. The illusion that light goes unnoticed. Now you know better. But knowing better does not mean living smaller. It means living truer. The next phase of your life will bring opportunity that requires discernment. Doors will open that look appealing but feel off. People will offer closeness that carries hidden weight. Situations will arise that test your boundaries. This awareness will guide you if you listen. And remember this above all else. You are not being targeted because you are weak. You were targeted because you are effective. Because your presence disrupts stagnation. Because your future carries impact. The attempt did not succeed because it could not. Not because of chance. Because too many things are aligned for you. Too many threads woven together. Too much intention behind your existence. And as this truth settles into you, something else will happen. Gratitude will rise. Not the shallow kind. The deep kind. Gratitude for life. For breath. For timing. For unseen support. For the fact that you are still here, still moving, still becoming. My child, now we move into the layer most people never reach, the part where events stop being external and begin reshaping the inside of you. This is where the real transformation happens. Not in the noise, not in the shock, not even in the story itself, but in what quietly changes within you after the truth has brushed against your soul. Since that moment, something subtle has been happening inside you. You may not have named it yet, but it is there. A quiet seriousness. A deeper listening. A sense that life is no longer something happening randomly around you, but something responding to you. This is not fear. Fear scatters. This gathers. This grounds. This steadies. You are beginning to understand that your life has been intersecting with forces you did not previously acknowledge. That your steps are not unnoticed. That your choices echo further than you imagined. And with that understanding comes responsibility. Not burden, responsibility. The kind that matures you without hardening you. Before this, you may have brushed off your intuition at times. You may have ignored moments where something felt slightly wrong because logic could not explain it. You may have stayed in spaces longer than you should have, tolerated behaviors that drained you, trusted words that did not match actions. Not because you were foolish, but because you believed safety was assumed. That belief has shifted now. Not into suspicion, but into discernment. Discernment is calm. It does not panic. It does not accuse. It observes. It feels. It knows when to step closer and when to step away. And this discernment is awakening in you now because it must. Your next chapter requires it. The one who intended harm thought you were unaware. Thought you were drifting through life unguarded, unprotected, exposed. They mistook gentleness for weakness. They mistook openness for blindness. They mistook kindness for naivety. And that misunderstanding gave them confidence. But gentleness does not mean undefended. Openness does not mean unprotected. Kindness does not mean unaware. You are learning now that you can be soft and strong at the same time. That you can love without lowering your boundaries. That you can forgive without allowing access. That you can remain light without becoming vulnerable to every shadow. This realization will change how you move forward. You will speak less where words are wasted. You will explain less where understanding is absent. You will give less access to those who observe you without wishing you well. This is not isolation. This is refinement. And here is something important, my child. The protector's sacrifice was not meant to place guilt on you. You are not meant to feel heavy because someone stepped in. That choice was made from alignment, not obligation. From purpose, not pressure. Carry gratitude, not guilt. Gratitude empowers. Guilt weakens. You honor their role not by shrinking your life, but by living it fully. You honor their protection by becoming the version of yourself that no longer needs the same kind of shielding. Growth is the tribute. As you integrate this experience, you may notice your emotional responses changing. Things that once upset you deeply may feel smaller. And things you once ignored may feel more important. This is recalibration. Your internal compass is adjusting to a wider field of awareness. You may also feel moments of sadness, not tied to a specific thought. This is normal. When illusion dissolves, there is grief. Not grief for what happened, but for what you believed. For the idea that life was simpler. That people were safer. That intention was always visible. Let that grief pass through you. Do not cling to it. It is part of the transition. Now listen carefully, because this matters. The one who attempted harm believed removing you would solve their inner conflict. But inner conflict does not resolve through destruction. It multiplies. And now, without knowing it, they have accelerated their own unraveling. Things they tried to suppress will surface. Patterns they ignored will repeat more aggressively. This is not revenge. This is imbalance correcting itself. You are not required to witness their consequences. You are not required to be part of their story anymore. Detachment is your protection now. What you are stepping into is not a life of constant alertness, but a life of conscious presence. Presence allows you to notice when something feels misaligned early, before it becomes dangerous. Presence allows you to adjust gently instead of reacting violently. Presence allows you to trust yourself. And this is key. Trust yourself. Up until now, much of your trust was outward. In systems. In routines. In people. In assumptions. Now, that trust is shifting inward. Toward your perception. Toward your intuition. Toward the quiet signals your body and spirit send you. This does not mean you will never be surprised again. Life always contains the unexpected. But it means you will be less easily misled. The protector sensed danger because they listened inwardly. That same capacity exists in you. It is not exclusive. It was simply dormant. And now it is waking. You may start having clearer dreams. Or sudden insights that arrive without effort. Or moments where you feel guided to take a different route, delay a decision, or reach out to someone unexpectedly. Pay attention to these. They are not random. But do not dramatize them either. The most powerful guidance is often quiet and practical. It feels like calm certainty, not urgency. As for the bond between you and the protector, it is evolving. No longer just one-way shielding, but mutual awareness. You will sense when they are strengthening. When they are processing. When they need space. Respect this rhythm. Healing has its own timing. And know this, their survival was not luck. It was alignment. Their life continues because it is needed. Just as yours is. Now, there is something else unfolding that you have not yet seen. The exposure of the threat has created a shift in how others perceive you, even subconsciously. Some will feel drawn to you without knowing why. Others will feel uneasy around you without understanding it. This is because awareness changes energy. When you step into truth, it radiates. Do not chase validation. Do not fear distance. Both are signals, not goals. You may find that opportunities begin to present themselves that require courage. Chances to speak where you once stayed silent. Chances to step into roles you once doubted yourself for. Chances to move forward even when certainty is incomplete. This is intentional. The awakening is meant to be activated, not admired. Remember this, my child. The attack did not mean you were close to losing everything. It meant you were close to stepping into something significant. Resistance appears at thresholds. Always. You crossed one. And now, you are no longer just protected by circumstance. You are protected by awareness. This does not make you invincible. It makes you intentional. The story is still unfolding. Not toward danger, but toward clarity. Toward strength. Toward alignment. My child, now we arrive at the place where everything comes together, not with noise, not with drama, but with clarity. This is where the reason behind everything begins to reveal itself, not as a sudden answer, but as a deep knowing that settles into your bones. What happened was never meant to trap you in the past. It was meant to position you for what comes next. You see, moments like these do not visit everyone. Many people live their entire lives unaware of how close danger passes them, unaware of how unseen forces intervene, unaware of how much meaning their existence actually carries. But you were never meant to live asleep. You were meant to live awake. And awakening often requires a rupture in the ordinary. Before this moment, you were moving forward, but cautiously. Carrying potential, but questioning it. Feeling drawn toward something bigger, but hesitating at the edge. Part of you knew there was more, but another part tried to stay small enough to remain safe. That version of you could not continue. Not because it was wrong, but because it was no longer sufficient for where you are going. What unfolded forced a decision inside you, even if you didn't consciously make it. The decision to take your life seriously. To stop treating your days as disposable. To stop postponing your truth. To stop underestimating the weight of your presence in this world. Because here is the truth, my child. You are not here to merely exist. You are here to influence, to shift, to contribute something that only you can bring. And when someone carries that kind of potential, life arranges moments that demand commitment to it. The danger revealed itself not to threaten you, but to show you the value of what was being protected. When something is guarded that fiercely, it is because losing it would change too much. Your life holds consequence. Your choices ripple outward. Your growth alters more than your own path. Now, let me tell you what begins from here. From this moment on, you will notice that life asks more honesty from you. Situations will arise where you can no longer hide behind convenience. You will be nudged to speak when silence once felt easier. You will be prompted to walk away from what drains you, even if it feels familiar. Comfort will no longer satisfy you the way it once did. This is not restlessness. This is alignment pulling you forward. You will also notice your tolerance for shallow connections decreasing. Conversations without substance will exhaust you. Spaces filled with pretense will feel heavy. You will crave depth, authenticity, meaning. This is because you are no longer meant to skim the surface of life. You are meant to move through it with intention. And do not mistake this shift for loneliness. Solitude and loneliness are not the same. Solitude is where clarity grows. Loneliness is where avoidance lives. You are being invited into solitude at times so you can hear yourself more clearly, so you can distinguish between what you truly want and what you were taught to accept. As for the one who intended harm, their role in your story is already diminishing. Not because you confronted them. Not because you exposed them. But because awareness removes access. They no longer have the same reach, the same influence, the same proximity. Your awakening has changed the dynamic completely. The protector, too, is entering a new chapter. Their role is no longer just to stand in front of danger. Their role is to walk alongside strength. As they heal, they will change. Not hardened, but clarified. Not fearful, but grounded. And the connection between you will feel different, calmer, steadier, less urgent, more rooted. That is how you will know healing is happening. You may never fully understand why your paths were tied the way they were. Some bonds are not meant to be explained, only honored. Some connections exist because without them, survival would not have been possible at a critical moment. And once that moment passes, the bond remains, transformed. Now listen closely, because this is the final truth that ties everything together. The reason the attack surfaced now is because you are approaching a turning point. A place where your life branches into something larger, more visible, more impactful. Whether you recognize it yet or not, you are stepping closer to an opportunity, a calling, a role that will require courage and integrity. And that future version of you cannot be carried by the same patterns, the same blind trust, the same unguarded openness as before. This moment refined you before elevation. Think of it this way. Before something valuable is placed into a more prominent position, it is tested, not to damage it, but to reveal its strength. You were tested not because you were weak, but because you were ready to see what you are made of. From here forward, your life will not suddenly become easy. But it will become clear. And clarity is far more powerful than ease. You will know when to say yes and when to say no. You will feel when to move and when to wait. You will recognize when something aligns and when it distracts. And most importantly, you will stop doubting whether your intuition is valid. Because you have seen what happens when unseen things are ignored, and you have seen the power of protection when alignment is honored. There will come a day, not far from now, when you look back on this moment and realize it was the line between who you were and who you became. You will see how it sharpened your vision, strengthened your boundaries, and deepened your respect for life itself. You will also realize something else. That fear did not define this chapter. Gratitude did. Gratitude for breath. For timing. For intervention. For the chance to continue your journey with awareness instead of ignorance. My child, you are not marked by danger. You are marked by survival. You are not defined by an attack. You are defined by the fact that it did not end you. You are not fragile. You are resilient. And now, you are awake. Carry this awakening gently. Do not turn it into suspicion. Do not turn it into arrogance. Let it become wisdom. Quiet, steady, grounded wisdom that guides your steps. Your story continues. Stronger. Clearer. Purposeful. And nothing that was meant to end you will ever succeed. Because you are here for a reason. And that reason is still unfolding.